could secretly go live in the garage for like a couple of days, and that would be awesome. But no one would eat, and the toilets would not get cleaned. I have a really lovely husband who is very great at being a partner, but there are certain things that he just isn't able to do. But he can feed people. He can certainly get people to sleep and keep them very busy playing like jump up and down games that I've long stopped doing. So I'm home here in DC, and I'm with my husband and two kids, who are Henry, who's 7, and Viola, who is 6. They are through a door right there, doing distance learning on their own. I don't know how successful they're being, but they seem fairly quiet. So yeah, we're managing fairly well, actually. The togetherness has been quite sweet. It's nice to find that you're in quarantine with people that you really love.
I'm here in my apartment, which has been newly renovated, decorated twice since I've been inside. And I'm here by myself and having some peace and quiet. But every night at 7 o'clock, people have been cheering for the first responders. So it's like the one time of the day I like hear, besides my neighbors sometimes who have great Saturday night parties. But it's a one time of the day when you can kind of like feel the energy and the electricity of the neighborhood, which is great.
That's so amazing. How wonderful. It's like an ovation outside your window.
All of a sudden, spontaneous, just cheering. And some people are banging on pots and pans at 7. And it's just like for a minute or two. It's happening all around the city. So it's really great.
We actually had a pipeline cocktail hour here on Zoom. I think it was last Friday night. It was recent. And my mind is a little fuzzy afterward, I have to be honest. But everyone was there. The whole cast, including Sarah, our stage manager. And we were all over the country, like Sarah's in Boston, some of us are in DC, Bjorn's in Chicago, some of them in New York, and so it was a really interesting, everybody was in a different space in a lot of ways. Yeah. And it was wonderful. And I certainly had a few glasses of rosé to celebrate. But we hadn't been in touch really, all of us, since we finished. But we all sort of left the call in that very theatrical, like, love you, and we were so connected, and we really were, and we really are. It didn't take a pandemic to make us feel love for each other, but it was really nice to reconnect. It was super fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel so similar to Andrea. I feel like I'm like trying to moderate how much news I'm taking in, and trying to take moments to, I feel like I was kind of in overdrive work, doing so much. So I'm really trying to take the opportunities where I can to just be still and, kind of just reflect on the moment. And then every now and again, I'll be like, oh, let me catch up on something. So I just watched Watchmen on HBO. You seen that? It's really good. It's really good. And then a couple of days ago, I went through the AFI top 100 films list, because there's tons of things I hadn't seen in there. So I put a bunch of those in my various queues, and was looking up a bunch of foreign films too, great foreign films. So I watched the great film Y tu mamá también, and then I watched the French film Amour, things that are people have seen and been watching for years, but I had just never got around to seeing them. So yeah, those were great.
So weirdly, I keep thinking I'm going to take this opportunity and watch all those series that I've never watched. And I keep watching 2 or 3 episodes of things and then being I can't. And then watching a movie instead. I can do, a movie feels like I have watched it and I have completed something, and that feels really good. So, like The Farewell, I just watched, which was so beautiful. And I've watched I watched a couple of episodes of 6 Feet Under that I hadn't seen in like a super long time, and it's great and like totally holds up. And then I watched a couple of episodes of Mad Men, which was fun, but I thought, nope, I don't need to watch this all over again. I definitely did watch The Watchmen, which was great, and I had already started that, so it wasn't like I had to start a new world with it, but that was awesome. Regina King all day. Every day.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then movies. I mean, I do watch kid movies because I have kids. So, and like family movies. We just watched actually yesterday and loved it. The Greatest Showman, the musical with Hugh Jackman. Okay, I can't say that I was ever a huge Hugh Jackman fan, but I love musicals. And this one was fun. It was like circusy and it was good. We had fun. Zendaya, awesome. And the guy from High School Musical.
All right.
It was silly. It was silly and great. But so, yeah. So I'm watching kid stuff. I ordered a bunch of books, but short stories, which I love. Again, because I need things. To get through a novel would be really hard, as much as I would love to. But I just got, and I'm so bad with names, but it's called Sing to It. And it's a recent, I think it's Amy Hempel collection of short stories. Really awesome. Another collection called, I think The World Doesn't Require Your Presence, which I haven't started yet, but sounds like really ominous and scary. So yeah, like little things that I can dip into and dip out of is kind of the way it's been going.
I gotta send you, there's a short story book I think you would really love, short stories by this woman named Kathleen Collins. I'm gonna send you the link.
Okay, awesome, yeah. I don't know if you guys know that my husband is a journalist. He's a foreign correspondent. And for the beginning of our life together, we lived in Johannesburg. At the time, for whatever reason, when we lived there, there were lots of power cuts. The power grid was really challenged. And so very regularly, there would be no power they called it load shedding. And so for like 4 or 5 hours a day, everything cut off. So no fridge, no lights. And sometimes that would happen in the summer and it wasn't so bad. You'd have to figure out like how to keep your food cold. But then sometimes it would happen in the winter. And the winter in South Africa is cold and dark and the houses are not insulated because it's Africa. It was horrible. And it was a hardship. It was sort of, you're in the dark and you're freezing and you sort of didn't have an easy out or an easy end to it. There were no generators. We walked around with candles. And I remember that sense of like, we just have to get on with this. Everybody else has been getting on with this for a long time. And the relative privilege that we've known for such a long time has been taken away. And how do we cope with being uncomfortable? And this is a different, obviously different level, different degree, but the level of being uncomfortable and how you cope with that and where you go to solve that is curious.
I feel like kind of similar to Andrea. I mean, I was not in New York for 9/11. I have been here for kind of various other terror attacks that happened. And, there's a kind of like the initial kind of the shock of it, and trying to figure out how to move forward, how to move through something in a way. And what's been interesting is, again, this person I was talking to earlier today, her family's from the Philippines. And so she was relating, the sometimes that there are floods and people have to be like on lockdown in a different kind of way. And it just making me think so much about how different people are responding to it and kind of what's the sense memory of this lockdown for people. I haven't had to, most of us, I think, haven't had to be in a lockdown situation before, but there are some people who are like, oh, they're kind of just had to pop into the groove of what it is because it feels very familiar, and maybe they know already kind of what the emotional toll is going to be and kind of can have that preparation. For me, I feel like it's more, I have been in circumstances, this, and not even in a traumatic situation, but just as Andrea says, having lived in various places around the African continent where sometimes you only get water once a week, you know what I mean? Or the lights go out during the day. So I do feel like, oh, okay, I'm not going out to the laundromat. Let me tell you, you'd be like, this is those moments in New York where you're just like, I wish I had a washing machine in the apartment. But I'm like, you know what? People have washed their clothes by hands for longer than we've been alive. Like, I feel in a way, I feel grateful. I don't have to go outside. You know what I mean? Outside every couple of weeks and go and get some groceries. But it's like striking me the notion of like the number of things that are standing still, but the number of people who are still in motion at the same time, I think is really interesting. Yeah.
It's such an opportunity to like remake the things that we thought we knew again. That like so many industries have to look different now. Whether it's entertainment or education or food service or, it gives us an opportunity to kind of like throw away the paradigm for a second and say like, so now that we get to start again, how do we start again better?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's a moment too, it's so funny. I feel like one of the things we've all been thinking about in the past couple of years is like everything feels like a polarization of thought, not just politically, but in everything. And there's like a habit that we have, like a cultural habit of like having to like choose sides and having to define things. And I think again that this idea of like being present is I think it feels like, or the thing I'm trying to do myself is trying not to have to figure out an answer for anything, but live inside of the moment without feeling the pressure yet to define the moment or define what the future is going to be. Because I feel like all of us probably feel like, I don't know who the person is I'm going to be tomorrow is. I don't know what the world that we're going to wake up to tomorrow is going to be. And so I'm kind of, in a way, I kind of feel like theater and like art making is such a perfect reflection of it. Because even when we have like a script, we don't always know how it's going to unfold, Yeah, it's funny because I think I love that word, reframe, redream. It's all the aspiration of it is so beautiful because there's so much possibility, And one of the things too I've been thinking though is how to look back. When I think about this moment, I'm sure so many plays will arise from this moment that are trying to articulate this moment. And when I go back, I'm really thinking about like absurdist drama, like Jean-Paul Sartre, Beckett, Ian Go, Adrienne Kennedy, they have already articulated the moment that we're living inside of right now. Sonia Sanchez, like these great of our theater history have articulated our present moment already, and when I think about like what will it mean for us to come back, I also think of what was the core before we started to and naturally arts and institutions, like it's constantly growing and unfolding, and I'm constantly thinking, oh, like what does it mean, like at the end of the day, we go back before the Greeks, before whomever, just the senses of like the ritual of community and storytelling. And no matter what it looks like when we come back, I feel like the kind of central kind of human tenet of that is not going anywhere. It's like something so much more ancient and innate than anything in the present moment can supersede, you know? And as long as we the artists, will continue to make the art and continue to make the spaces for that art to be expressed, you know?